and ensuring, innocent people didn't have their property taken just because they might have been associated with or close to, or maybe even had just been witness to a crime, which, believe it or not, happens. And I don't think a lot of people believe it happens until it happens to them. And oftentimes this type of practice, while it definitely captures some bad people, it destroys a lot of good people. And I've always been of the opinion that, in our country, if we're going to do something that hurts one innocent person, just because it gets 10 bad ones, we're doing it wrong. Because we're innocent until proven guilty in this country. And this goes along with that premise. But you think about if the police accuse you of a crime or suspect that your property, your money, your car, your guns were part of that crime, they can take it and they can keep it, even if they never accuse or convict you of a crime. It's called civil asset forfeiture. In 2019, law enforcement agencies in Arizona used that process to seize nearly $27 million worth of property. They took cash, cars, guns, cell phones, 3 glass pie dishes, an $18 Best Buy gift card. The list goes on and on and on. Authorities claim they use asset forfeiture to go after drug kingpins, organized crime. They do. But the statistics are this. More than half of the forfeitures are worth less than $1,000. And I mean, you can just simply see it. I see it driving home. Some poor sap pulled over for whatever reason and has committed a crime, or somebody in the car commits a crime, and the next thing you know, their $1,000 van is taken from them, or their, the trailer they're towing, or whatever items they have in their possession. 90% of all the forfeitures are handled through the civil process, not through criminal forfeiture process as well. It's something worth noting. And this is what really grabbed me. To get this property back, individuals have to prove that their property wasn't involved in a crime. And I think we all know it's very difficult to prove a negative. In our business especially, it's almost like when somebody says something about you, you're guilty until you can prove yourself innocent. Well, that's not how the system's supposed to work. It's extremely difficult for people to hire a lawyer, needless to say an expensive lawyer or a good lawyer, to fight this seizure. Oftentimes the cost of hiring that lawyer may exceed the value of the property. And I mean, you might be taking something from somebody that's their only means of transportation or communication. And I don't want to take away from law enforcement. I hope you all know I support law enforcement. I wouldn't be wearing this mask if I didn't support law enforcement. I don't want to make their jobs harder. I just want to protect the innocent people who unfortunately have become victim of this practice, and now partially our fault in this legislative body. Some of these departments have begun to rely on this type of seizure and this type of practice to fund their agencies. So, I mean, to me it's terrifying when you think that here we are as the ones who should be appropriating money to these folks to do their job, to do the good job of law enforcement. And we've created a system that incentivizes them oftentimes, well, with regards to when they may take property from somebody, sell it, and get to keep the proceeds. This does not stop guilty criminals from suffering this fate. This prevents innocent people from having their property taken. I want to keep restating that. I believe strongly in due process and the property rights of innocent Arizonans, and that's what 2810 does. It's a similar bill this year. It will require the government to convict an individual of a crime before they permanently take their property. Pretty straightforward, right? Make sure that the property that's taken is directly connected to the crime itself. The bill will also require law enforcement to return the property in a timely manner if they decide not to pursue criminal charges, or they lose the case in court. And this, by the way, is something else that I think is just awful in nature. I mean, you have folks who have been involved with or associated with a crime who pass away, and their loved ones are never even able to get their property back, or it may take years to get their property back. I've heard from some in law enforcement who say this will make their jobs harder. I appreciate that. I received a letter today from the county sheriffs, whom I have a lot of respect for. And I'm sympathetic, but the Constitution of the United States, right, the state of Arizona, it's clear. on this point. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be hard for the government to take property from individuals. Law enforcement will still be able to go after drug kingpins. They're still going to be able to go after traffickers. They're still going to be able to seize assets from criminals. We're not stopping that practice. They are going to have to prove they're criminals. The bill does allow for law enforcement to seize property to be used in the course of their investigations, which would not inhibit their ability to do their jobs in that regard. So, you know, I'll just close with this. You know, in a lot of areas of our lives, and I think this goes across political divides, scales are often tipped against individuals for whatever reason. This is one area where I think we can kind of bring things back into balance. We can give law enforcement the tools they need to take down smuggling rings, drug kingpins, but still protect good people, or maybe people who are just involved in the wrong place at the wrong time, from governmental abuse.